Alright, Jim. Did my little weekly run errands and stuff with Jim. And on the way back, of course, everything's all up to temp. We're about 90 degrees, humid as all get out right now. Started cutting out. I mean, when I mean cutting out, I mean the engine just died. All cylinders done. And then picked back up and, you know, fluttered a little bit and then drove for a little bit and fluttered. So, thank God I made it back home, and I was really close. So pulled Jim in, you know, unloaded, got cooled off, and then I just went out and did some test drives. I brought you along with me to try to capture that. And what I did, I just kind of backed up and then went down the road, got into that parking lot, the church parking lot over there. It did not do donuts. Went over there and then come back and I just kept repeating that. And I did get one cut out. And then I got one just stall as I was pulling in here, stalled out, and then it kind of had a little bit of a hard start. There we go, there's the cutout right there too. There's another good hint right there. So those things are really hard to try to capture. You know, I could just get out on the road and I know I could replicate it, but who knows where I'll be. You know, Jim's home right now. Who knows where I'll be if I just take off driving, and it might not restart. And that's kind of what those things do. So let's go over what I think might be the problem. So 2020, which is 2 years ago, the distributor failed in Jim at the autocross. I rebuilt it. I put the factory, just the stock replacement, Hall effect sensor in there, the pickup coil, and I did the stock replacement TFI module. Well, a year later, the TFI module failed, so I put the Pertronix TFI module on there. Alright, well, I got the Pertronix TFI module on there, and what I did is I decided to go ahead and replace the coil, because my Excel coil was about 8 years old. Didn't really think it's having big issues, but I'm like, I'll replace it with a blaster. So I've just recently replaced it with a blaster. Seems like that kind of picked up a little bit of power, smoothed everything out. Well, until today. So what I'm thinking is it probably is not the pickup module, because on those it usually is just a random misfire and you get like a stuttering effect going on there, versus just all the cylinders die, like it just turned the key off, right, and then pick back up. So I'm thinking probably coil or the TFI module. Now the thing is, I can pull the coil off and test that, and I can pull the TFI module off and test that as well. So I'm going to go through the process of kind of an impromptu, seeing why my car don't run right. This is not the kind of video I want to make. It's just this kind of video that is going to be made if you have an older car. To start replacing parts. The parts store parts aren't that great for the most part, right? So, but that's what we got to deal with. Alright, loose checking. Oh, hey, look at that. There's a video out on that. How to put that on. Alright, looking in here. The engine bay area is just hot, just because that's what it is. Distributor's not loose. That's kind of loose-ish right there. See that? It's not locked in real good. I can just pull that right out. Well, that would be a prime suspect. I may need to replace that, because I had that problem with the coil connector too. So look at there, those are tight, good and tight, good and tight, good and tight. Okay, now I'm not checking the individual ones because it's all the cylinders. One individual wouldn't do that. So I am suspecting this, but it's, you know, it's seated in there pretty good. So I don't know on that. Even if it was wiggling that much, that shouldn't be an issue. But we can test that, because I can do that number right there just to replicate. Hey, it's clearly loose, right? It's not locked in right there. So this is loose and would come off. So what does it do if it's loose? And I'll try that, right? Hey, it started. Oh, look at the tack. Look at the tack right there, what it's doing. That's what the TFI module did whenever it went out. The tack started going weird. So, and it's kind of misfiring a little bit, kind of off on, off on, off on, but it's not just complete, it died. So I think that rules out a loose connection, because that's not the failure mode I had. I had just all the cylinders complete cut out, like I just turned a key off. Okay, next morning, until this morning, because we're dewy, which also means it's humid as all get out already. Alright, looking at this, I highly suspect the TFI module. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull the distributor out because it's easier to get into everything, and I'm going to get this tested. Also have the one that come off this distributor when I rebuilt it that I want to get tested too, because I suspect that it was the pickup coil that was bad on it, not the TFI module. So I'm going to get both those tested out. So the distributor, what I'm going to do, if you look down there, if you square this up, oh, there we go. You see the little mark right there. That's from when I've done this several times, is I'll mark where the TFI module is, and then, I bet that was a good loud pop. See where the rotor is? I'll mark that on the distributor, because the cap only goes in one spot, right? Okay, it's out. There's the spare coil, there's the spare TFI module. I just used the tool. Nothing special on that. One bolt comes out and I mark my position. So one thing to note there, and I noted whenever I put this on, I think when I rebuilt the distributor, I had to go into my my little travel kit, Stanley kit, to get this neck down 7/32, and it kind of goes in there a little hard, but it will get the screws out of there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to look up in the book, but also know the parts store can check these too, and I'm just going to get both of these checked out to see if there's a difference between them, because I really don't, after thinking about it, I don't suspect that one being bad. But it was when I was in the distributor, I just rebuilt the whole thing, 2 years ago, not knowing the parts store junk is, well, junk. Don't know on this one, I can't say, but it has been a year. I got to check it out to know if it's good or bad, right? Correction, I went to the deep well version of it because it has a longer neck to go down in there. Because the other one would just bottom out before it'd reach, right? I did get that one out with the short regular, but I did have to go to that one there. Okay, it's off. My Arctic Silver thermal paste still feels pasty. Still has some on there. Just like I said, it's just a thin coating. You can see it's still pasty, so it's not like it dried up, because I have had that happen before where the thermal paste would dry up and then it didn't do anything, right? Or at least I don't think it does anything. No evidence of that. But yeah, there it is. It just plugs in there. Nothing crazy. So now I have 2 of these that I can go test out. Oh yeah, the caked up paste. Actually, this one's still pasty too. They must use Arctic Silver. Haha. This did check out bad. Now whenever you have them run the test on these, or have them running a few times because they have to heat up to find the failure on it, right? This one turned out good. I'm going to use it, but it is an older piece right there. So what I'm going to do is clean this distributor up, clean that up right there. As far as putting this back together, you can watch my video right up in there of when I originally built it, and I think I did it again when I put that TFI module on there. So I'll put both of those up there, that way you can see that part, and I'm just going to get to putting it on. Now what I want to do, I've been looking at Dan at Neo Mustangs. He's been running an aftermarket distributor that I've had my eye on for a few years, and I think I'm going to get that as my actual distributor and just use this, because I know all this will go together and make the car run. I can put all that together as a spare distributor, but I can't do that this month because work truck. Got a fuel system put together on this thing. I'm trying to get it together. I just bought all these parts, and that is the car parts fund for this month. So that this will work to get the car up and running, but I probably won't do much other than just kind of start it and idle it around or whatever, just to keep all the oil flow in it. And that's all I'll be doing for this month on JYM. Back together. Okay, note I used the Arctic Silver Ceramic 2 for like CPUs. I had that laying around. So I did a little bit of internet research. You know, I went to a couple places. I think Stangneck was one of them, but there was a debate over whether to use this kind of thermal paste or use dielectric grease, because some people said use dielectric grease, and they immediately got, man, don't ever do that. That's horrible. That won't ever work. What do we read right there? 1/3, whether you install into old or a new one, wipe the backside clean, blah, 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 blah. Film of silicone dielectric grease to the backside of the module. See illustration. Illustration, backside of the module. Silicone dielectric grease. Right there. It says again, in bold, film of dielectric grease. Essential for the cool operation of the module. Do not use any other type of grease. So there we go. If you're wondering, right there in the Haynes repair manual. Alright, JYM's back together. Just want to point out on that the thermal paste, I did look it up, and the Arctic Silver and a lot of your thermal paste do have the silicone dielectric grease as their base grease, so they're good to be using for those things. Sun's in my face. So those are a little bit superior thing you can use, but they are more expensive, and they probably weren't readily available when that book was written. So that's two options you have right there. Now, JYM I'm not going to be doing much with, because I'm trying to get the work truck Herald 2.0 together, and that's what you can expect to see. Next week is more content. Actually, I think the next 2 weeks I'm going to be doing content on Herald 2.0 there, and different things like that, because that's the main project, right? JYM's going to have to sit until I can afford the distributor that I sell distributor and throw that in. I just don't trust the one I have in there for driving around and doing errands. Now, if it's something just throw in to get me home because something failed, that's different, but that's not where I'm at with it. Hopefully I don't have to do that anymore. Alright, well, that'll sum this one up, and I'll see you next time on Broken Tool Garage.